Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. Quick shout out to my newest patron, Stubbs E. Thank you for choosing to support the channel. No worries, I won't bury the lead. Some of you have been waiting for this all day. I do want to say a few things though. First, I do see all of your comments, and yes, that includes you, JP. But in fairness, not all of you know me or what I'm about, so just know that I don't mention my sources often, and I really only do it when I feel compelled to try to bring some clarity into some hot topic Tesla issues. The last issue I tried to bring some clarity to was about 7 months ago when my sources were telling me that there were 828 cells in every 4680 structural pack in the Model Y. In response to that video, Troy Teslike was fairly dogmatic that 828 cell number could not be right. Then about 1 month after my video, Monroe Live got into one of those packs and Sandy said this.
And you'll see here that I've got my handy dandy little chart. And so one of them is 828.
And trust me, I'm not at all sharing that to be like, oh, look at me. It's 100% just to try to offer some credibility for my sources to anybody that's new to the channel. And just so we're clear, I'm a long-term Tesla investor. I have zero desire to pump the stock. If I had the ability to manipulate it, I would actually want the stock price to go down so I can buy more shares at better prices. And lastly, just remember, it's still source information, so be careful. I personally trust the source, and that's why I'm sharing it. So the current production rate of Tesla Megapacks is 12 per day. It should be noted there's a pilot line in Reno, Nevada currently making 2 Megapacks per day, but I'm just going to leave this aside for purposes of math for Megapacks coming from Lathrop. We know this factory broke ground September 23rd, 2021. Roughly 1 year later, Tesla posted a video to Twitter showing production of Megapacks from the factory, so it's about 1 year from breaking ground to initial production. Most of you are probably familiar with the stated capacity of this factory when it's fully ramped. We are not there yet, but that breaks down to about 2,500 Megapacks per quarter or 200 per week based on 50 weeks per year because I like to allow 2 weeks for downtime, maintenance, etc. Given the current production rate of this factory of 12 per day, that's about 48 megawatt hours per day. On the website, it says 3.9 megawatt hours per Megapack, so I'm just rounding up to 4 for simple math. I was also told that yes, Lathrop is operating 7 days a week, which is very important for running some numbers. So extrapolating the current run rate, if we take 12 per day times 7 days, that's 84 Megapacks per week times 50 weeks in a year, 4,200 Megapacks for the year in terms of this current run rate if it was sustained over 12 months, which is about 1,050 per quarter, which means it would be nearing about 50% of the stated factory capacity. Going through that same mathematical sequence, but using the daily megawatt hour number figures, that works out to 16.8 gigawatt hours per year, again at the current run rate over 1 year, or about 4.2 gigawatt hours per quarter. For some context, in all of 2022, Tesla deployed 6.5 gigawatt hours of energy storage, which does include Powerwall. I need you to hear me when I say this. You cannot just take these numbers and start attributing certain gigawatt hour numbers and revenue figures to a specific quarter, and here's why. This is directly from Tesla's most recent 10K. We continue to increase the production of our energy storage products to meet high levels of demand. For Megapack, energy storage deployments can vary meaningfully quarter to quarter depending on the timing of specific project milestones. It's going to be a similar story with revenue recognition because just like Tesla's FSD, they're going to be dealing with deferred revenue when it comes to Megapack projects. Meaning that not 100% of the revenue will be always recognized right up front when a contract is signed. Plenty more detail on all of that in the future, but I just needed to get that out there for now. Also, from the 10K, gross margin for energy generation and storage increased from negative 4.6 to positive 7.4% from 2021 to 2022. Tesla said there was a higher proportion of energy storage sales, which operated at a higher gross margin within the segment. So yes, Megapacks clearly already driving up Tesla's energy margins. So using these current production rates and assuming an average sale price of about $2 million, this will vary depending on is it 2 hour, 4 hour duration, or is Tesla going to install it or not, etc. But doing that math works out to, at this rate, $8.4 billion in annual revenue, or $2.1 billion per quarter. But again, don't just start plugging this in one-to-one for each quarter. That's not at all how this works. And if we assume 30% margins, which we'll touch on momentarily, that would be $2.5 billion in annual profit, or $630 million per quarter from the current production rate of Tesla Megapacks out of Lathrop. There's plenty of debate on what the actual margins for the Tesla Megapack are going to be. I just use 30% right now because I definitely think that's in play. Maybe not yet, but I think they'll get there once the factory's ramped a little bit more. I think part of the problem why people are all over the map is because we don't really have a clear understanding of how the tax credits are going to work. However, in Tesla's most recent 10K, they literally say standalone energy storage tech is eligible for a tax credit between 6 and 50% of qualified expenses, regardless of the source of energy, which may be claimed by our customers. They add these tax credits are primarily for the benefit of our customers. Now, yes, there are producer, aka manufacturer side credits that Tesla will have access to for making battery cells and modules. I just don't want these two to be conflated, and I think sometimes they have been. Just a quick fun fact, if you're new to the Megapack story, yes, Tesla can push OTA updates to their Megapacks to improve them over time as well. Which brings us back to the margin conversation, because Tesla can do software stacking with Megapacks, meaning offer services like frequency regulation, peak shaving, and energy arbitrage, but more on that in the future. The last thing I'll say for now, please do not take the fact that Tesla went from 0 to 12 megapacks per day at Lathrop in roughly 4 months. Do not then extrapolate that to thinking, okay, well, maybe in another 4 months they'll be at 24 megapacks per day. Look, that's not totally out of the question. I just think it's a bit foolish to just assume that that's what's going to happen over the next 4 months. We know semiconductors have hampered Tesla energy more than Tesla Auto, and we're not out of the woods on that front yet. And if you're now confused on this data point, I would just say just because you can does not mean that you are. And please just expect uneven energy deployments and revenue recognition for this business line from Tesla. All right, let's zip through some other Tesla news. So the Somerset Police Department in Wisconsin came out and said that they're expecting to save $8,400 per year over 10 years, $84K total, switching to a Model Y. These figures are relative to a Ford Explorer hybrid, so even though the Model Y costs $18,000 more upfront, remember it's all about TCO, total cost of ownership. More people need to know this. People also wondered why they only expected the ICE Cruiser to last around 5 years when they were expecting about 10 years for the Model Y. I think it may have something to do with idling and combustion engines, but somebody in the comments, please correct me on that if I'm wrong. So definitely a ringing public endorsement for the Tesla Model Y. They listed all of these reasons why the Model Y was a better choice for them. This story was also cool because apparently the chief of police was actually answering some FUD type questions in the comments on Facebook. Apparently, NHTSA is considering a new rule that would require all EVs and hybrids dating back to 1997 to have the pedestrian alert noises. What would seem to work out like a retroactive safety defect could impact up to 9.1 million vehicles. Of course, I'm all for protecting blind and deaf people. I just can't say how much of a problem this has really been, the fact that EVs and hybrids don't make noise at low speeds, but there are definitely ICE cars that also make very little noise at low speeds, and they seem to be exempt, which doesn't seem fair. But for now, NHTSA is just considering this, so the way the law is written, all new EVs now have to have this noisemaker, but if this goes through, then that would mean all EVs and hybrids prior to 2018 would also need this feature. Going back, of course, to 97. We got the latest weekly insured data from Tesla China coming in at 8,643, but nope, this is provisional data, may be subject to change. Either way though, I'm not really ready to read too far into this one data point until we get a few weeks into the future. However, the red highlight, just a reminder, we had the Chinese holiday during this week. Just coming out of that, things are going to be slow and abnormal. With that said though, it is the second best reading so far this year out of 5 total. And if you like keeping up with BYD, here's their data for the same week. Shout out to Sawyer for spotting this one, but Tesla has filed a new trademark called Tesla One. This is a pending application for downloadable computer software in the nature of a mobile application for document management, workforce timekeeping and scheduling, analysis of employee time and activity, tracking purchase orders and returns, completing customizable comment forms, and database management. Think internal company software, kind of like enterprise resource planning or ERP, which you would probably think of SAP and Oracle. About a year ago, I did an entire video on Tesla's Warp Drive, which was basically their custom in-house enterprise resource software tool. So in the future, could this be a software that Tesla licenses to other companies? Sure, it's possible, but I definitely would not be betting on it, and definitely not anytime soon. Either way though, do not sleep on the fact that it's all of these little things that help to make Tesla so hyper efficient and agile when it comes to their manufacturing techniques. The biggest news from the Hertz annual filing, at least for us, was that so far they only have less than half of the 100,000 Teslas that they initially set out to purchase and have by the end of last year. Hertz said its rental fleet peaked at 428.7 thousand vehicles in America in 2022, and that 11% of those vehicles were Teslas. Hertz did mention 2 things in the filing: their ability to secure adequate vehicle supply within the time frame they and their customers expect, and the fact that Tesla raised prices on several occasions last year, which maybe Hertz wasn't expecting. Either way though, don't think this is a big deal. They may not have them yet, but they'll probably have them in time. Some of you know I'm a Clearwater, Sarasota, Tampa, Florida type person at heart, and maybe one day we'll have a place there. But that 100,000 square foot facility we talked about previously is set to go public. Everything has a green light for a showroom, service center, and a massive indoor storage space. This is in Lealman in Pinellas County. Here's another angle to show you the scale of this building. Again, just one that I'm personally pretty interested in. Ron Barron had some interesting comments today.
And so I told Elon he has to text about this and tell people that if they want to commit suicide, they should not be driving a Tesla. They should drive, a Bentley. Drive a Bentley, drive it if the clips, you'll die. Don't do it in a Tesla. So number one, the safest car for them to build.
I mean, I like the nod to Tesla's safety, but
the bottom line is that the head of Volkswagen gets fired, the head of Ford, Mark Field, gets fired, because they had bad strategies, bad people. And Mark Field came to visit me a few years ago. You couldn't have believed the negative things he's told me about Elon Musk. All wrong. And just, he had a bad strategy, not a great executive. Okay, I shouldn't say that. All right, good guy.
What you just heard was Ron Barron with Minimal Filter, essentially saying that Mark Fields was talking major mess on Elon a few years ago, and then he realized that maybe I shouldn't say these things publicly, but he said part of them. Out of respect for myself and journalism, I will never pay for CNBC, but you can see from the title that in that interview, he also said Tesla could hit $1,500 per share by 2030. Honestly though, this really is not any type of revelation. It's only a CAGR of about 29% every year over the next 8 years. Tesla's market cap right now is $607 billion. If we just take the prediction Elon made, Tesla will be the most valuable company on the world within the next 5 years. That would be in the neighborhood of $4 trillion. Divide that by Tesla's current market cap of $600 billion. That gives us a 6.66x. With Tesla's stock price at $197 right now, times that 6.66, that would have us at $1,312 per share. You can pause the screen and read this in full if you'd like, but Tesla sent out an email just highlighting the impact that it's made on the Canadian market and economy so far. Some of the main highlights: they contributed $762 million to Canada's GDP in 2021, created 6,645 full-time jobs, reduced over 583,000 tons of carbon pollution, and helped Tesla owners save an estimated $113 million in 2021 alone in fuel savings. It's the 5-year anniversary of SpaceX launching Elon's Roadster into orbit, and where it is now is really anybody's guess, but this website will help you try to track it. I'll put this site below, but the truth is nobody has actually seen this vehicle since a few weeks after the launch in 2018, so take it for what you will. However, it could have exceeded its 36,000 mile warranty over 70,000 times. Here we have BYD stepping right onto Tesla's turf with its own version of a Megapack product. This is BYD's Cube Pro. It's a 543 megawatt hour project. Construction set to begin second quarter this year. Should be operational by the end of this year. The article did not mention a customer, but if I was a betting man, one of the biggest utilities in Nevada is Warren Buffett's NV Energy. So yes, this Warren Buffett subsidiary would make a lot of sense, especially given that Warren is still roughly a 10% owner of BYD. This company is awesome. We'll talk more about it in the future, but for now, BTU Storage Solutions, they're taking old electric vehicle battery packs, putting them straight into Megapack type structures and using them for grid operations. And no, this is not some concept pipe dream, this is operational. Their hybrid solar and battery storage facility in Lancaster, California has 25 megawatt hours of storage capacity operational. From Reuters, this technology allows the EV battery packs to be bundled together without having to be taken apart first. B2U's CEO said this could lower grid-scale battery capital costs by 40%. The batteries in this operational system are up to 8 years old and were once powered by vehicles built by Honda and Nissan. The company is seeking to develop additional projects in California and Texas. And for the cherry on top from Electric, BTU said it successfully tested Chevy Bolt and Tesla Model 3 battery packs with its EPS system. It can be configured to operate any EV battery. So that narrative that EV battery packs are just going to go to waste at the end of their useful life in electric vehicles, good night. With the Super Bowl coming up, we're starting to see some of the EV commercials. This one is between GM and Netflix. I don't want any copyright strikes, but I'll put the link below if you want to check it out. In a recent Motor Trend interview, Jim Farley said that Blue Oval is also working on an electric vehicle with Red Bull, who just won the F1 title. Farley said, "I was in a recent review with probably our most strategically important EV. I turned to my Skunkworks team and said, who's doing the aero on this? He turns to me and says, oh, they're from Red Bull Formula One. So could it be a souped up F-150 Lightning? Or could it be a new performance EV that we know nothing about? I personally would guess leaning to the former, given that big statement about our most strategically important given F-150 sales. But in the wide open EV landscape right now, I would just say anything is possible." You can find me on Twitter at DylanLoomis22. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Please like the video if you did, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.